Last time on Dragon Ball Z.
No.
It's called hentai, and it's art.
I've been in the anime thing for a long fucking time, and a disturbing thing I've noticed is a lack of passion in anime. Every main character looks the same, you get some skinny black-haired teenager who inadvertently gets girls. Whatever, what the fuck ever. The stories are all the same. Lately it's been isekai. Some guy's a loser in one world, he dies and becomes a god in the next one. And that's my problem with anime, or trends in general. Instead of making something you're passionate about or proud of, you do whatever's popular at the time, which I'll probably end up doing at one point. But ever so rarely, a story emerges where you can feel the creators actually gave a shit. They question, what makes an interesting character, and how do we challenge ourselves to do better than the competition? And I can't help but feel Sword of the Stranger is exactly that kind of movie. A movie made in 2009 that somehow looks better than a ton of modern anime. What's up everybody, it's Scamboli, aka I have no friends, and I had to take a long break before recording this because I've been getting throat fucked by some virus my doctor can't identify. Anyway, I'll be reviewing Sword of the Stranger. I haven't seen a single review regarding this movie, so before we talk about the story, I'd like to tell you why I even know about this shit. Deep in my anime infancy, sometime in middle school, I'd try to only watch dubbed anime. I really can't even tell you why, it even made 7th grade dumb fuck version of me cringe. So I ended up looking up good anime dubs, and lo and behold, Sword of the Stranger popped up. I just wanted to bring this up to let you know that dub is pretty damn good. I didn't cringe a single time. So let's get to the story. We begin with a kid on the run. What's he on the run for? Fuck you, watch the movie. Anyway, while taking refuge in a temple on the way, encounters a friendly vagabond. Now, if you watch anything, ever, you probably know where this is going, but in the case you don't, the samurai ends up killing the fuck out of some people to save the kid, and that's where their story begins.
Taylor about the fucking flex.
This is a simple story, but while simple, I found it equal parts fulfilling. The reason for me saying that the story is simple is because you can generally tell where the story is going. Guy encounters kid, guy saves kid, the end. However, it felt like more than that. It's an emotionally satisfying movie. The main character is immensely likable, the world is extremely immersive, and goddamn, the movie is so beautifully detailed. In every aspect that I normally review, such as music, art, and all that, I naturally have examples of the immense detail. For the story, it immediately struck out to me that the conversations between the Japanese and the Chinese were mediated by a translator.
Beyond the mountain.
A guy actually speaks Chinese and someone translates. They never say, hey, we got a translator. This is called show, don't tell. This fisherman doesn't give a fuck about mud hitting his face because he's focused on catching this fish. Yet the story never tells you that. So many anime are guilty of treating the viewer like a fucking idiot. For example, I'm gonna make this up, but I'm guessing you encounter a situation like this. Hey, anime protagonist, you've lived in this world your whole life, but let me explain to you how the Demon King took control by manipulating the dark sect. What the fuck? You don't have a better way to explain things? Sword of the Stranger never did that. As the story progresses, the bad guy's intentions become more and more clear without some character telling you the whole fucking history of Japan. And I deeply appreciate this type of storytelling. Hopefully that tangent wasn't too long, I'm just gonna summarize for time's sake. It's a nice story that doesn't dabble in abstract themes, what you see is what you get. And I like that in this movie, it's pretty good. Each character, no matter how little, all have their own motives and reasons for doing things. This guy does that thing because of all the setup we were given in the last 5 minutes. This guy wants power, this guy wants a good fight, this guy wants to fuck this guy, or something like that. That's where a lot of anime wouldn't have bothered. Villains are portrayed as being evil for no fucking reason. The world ain't like that. Most characters are likable, the rest you're supposed to dislike, I guess. We have No Name, who's a cool-headed and kind samurai who fucks things up. Super likable. Then we have, Boy. He's a brat, but that makes sense because he's probably like 8. He definitely grows on you by the time the movie ends. Dog. Then there's White Villain Dude, who's actually pretty likable. The main cast is dope.
So you know how to fight. Well, today you're up against the Ting brothers. You want to fight? Fight with me.
find it mind-blowing that this movie was made in 2009. I could honestly talk about the art for a long fucking time, but I'll try to keep it short. There's so many details that make the world lifelike. In most scenes, everybody stays moving unless they have a reason not to. There are very few scenes where the background characters stand completely frozen going, whoa, whoa. That's like real life. When Kid Boy is running, he steps in a puddle and slips briefly. In this crowd, everyone is doing something. It's like you're really in a town. Time and time again, we're forced to watch monotonous crowds walking in the same direction. This is a breath of fresh air, but besides that, there's these beautifully painted landscapes dotted throughout the movie. It's another one of those things that they didn't have to add, but they did. But the most incredible part of this movie's art was the ending fight. It's probably the most incredibly choreographed... Oh, wow, I say incredibly a lot, huh? It's probably the most incredibly choreographed and drawn-out animated fight I've ever seen. The only other animated fight I've ever seen that could rival this is the Kakashi vs. Obito fight. The motion is so fluid, and these two grown men have so much weight in their movements. It's honestly crazy to watch. The fight's incredible, but the fights throughout the movie are incredible as well. I don't know if they had martial artists doing shit for them to get their inspiration from, but each fight is so creative and well drawn. It honestly felt like a real movie that just happened to be animated. Overall, the art passes with flying colors. You're watching the movie, and while the music comes in and out, you don't really notice it. That is until we meet No Name. A little orchestral tune plays, and you shove it in the back of your head. The tune pops up a couple times, but it doesn't really matter. Then we get to the end of the movie. That same tune is morphed into something much bigger, and the entire movie was building up to this one moment. That's how I felt after rewatching this movie after so long. The music during the final fight is so memorable. I could whistle it days after watching. The music during other fights kind of reminded me of Avatar: The Last Airbender with the along with a few other subtle things that reminded me of Avatar. The other music didn't really leave an impression on me, but that one song I mentioned is honestly legendary. The last couple of anime I reviewed were only for certain types of people. Sort of The Stranger is not that kind of movie. I think nearly anyone can find something they like in this movie. Whether you come for intense fight scenes, a nice story, or have nothing else to watch, this movie's for you. It's a breath of fresh air and one hell of a ride. So my verdict is, if you have an hour and a half of free time, go ahead and watch it. That's it. That's a review. If you enjoyed, like, or comment, or both. It helps these videos get seen. Since it's almost April, next week I'll talk about all the anime I think is worth watching for spring 2019. I forgot how I usually end these videos, so, bye. Psych, bitch! I just want to give a quick thank you to all the people that comment. I literally read all that shit and have a small grin on my face while doing it. I want to give a extra little special little... thank you to Hotboy Vivo and Big Mike is Not Big for commenting on almost every one of my videos. It's pretty sick. Thanks. Bye.